Hello folks, well welcome to the small seaside town of Seaford on the Sussex coast. Sits between Brighton and Eastbourne, and today I'm after a walk along the cliffs here and trying to get one of the southeast of England's most iconic views. It's a reasonable day today, so hopefully that will be alright, and with a bit of luck, if the tide's playing game, I want to drop down off the cliffs onto the actual seafront and see if I can do a little bit of fossil hunting for something different. So yeah, I hope you'll join me today. My name's John and I make videos on camping, walking and astronomy. If you like what you see in this video, then please check my channel out, as you may find others that interest you there. But in the meantime, let's crack on with this video. Yeah, so where we're heading then is up the cliffs behind me and along the cliff tops and dropping down to a place called Cuckmere Haven. It's only a short walk, but it should be quite a nice one. So yeah, it's a bit of a steep slog to get up to the top of the cliff, so I'll get cracking. The cliffs along this whole stretch of coastline are falling away into the sea. And you can see on the section of cliff behind me there's a stonking great big crack running through the end of it, so I guess that that bit is destined to fall down. So it's a beautiful late winter's day today, or late winter, early spring I should say. We had a bit of surprise late dumping of snow recently, just before winter petered itself out. But although it's fairly cold today, it's quite nice. A bit of watery sunshine trying to come through. I've always found going up and down the chalk cliffs is much harder work than what you think it is. Just because the ascents are quite short, you tend to steam up them, but they're actually fairly steep, you know, not dissimilar to a climb up a mountain, say. But anyway, I'm more or less, I think, at the top of the, I think they call it Seaford Head, the cliff here. Yeah, and there's some nice views around me now. Got the Seven Sisters come into view, which is very nice. And yeah, I'm really enjoying myself today, so I'm going to plod on a bit more. So I think the bit down behind me is called Hope Gap, and that's where hopefully I'll get access to the foreshore to do a little bit of fossil hunting shortly. But I'm going to carry on past that and head in the direction of Cuckmere Haven first, and then come back and try and get down to the shore to do some fossil hunting. So here we are at Cuckmere Haven for a view that's beloved of the Sussex tourist industry, of the Cuckmere Haven coastguard cottages with the Seven Sisters behind them. The cottages, I think, are in severe danger of falling into the sea as the land around them is gradually being eroded away. But yeah, I think that this view has formed covers on books and magazines and posters and all sorts of things. The Seven Sisters themselves is pure white chalk. It was laid down about 85 or 90 million years ago, and the fact that it's so white shows that it was deposited a long way from land. There's no other stuff that got mixed up with them, and it would have been a fairly tropical sea. And the chalk itself is made up of the skeletons of millions of sort of little microscopic organisms that when they died they fell to the bottom of the sea and formed a sort of ooze, which subsequently got turned into chalk that you can see here. So yeah, I'm going to have a little look at Cuckmere Haven just to get a little bit closer, and then head onto the foreshore and try and do some fossil hunting. This area down there is Cuckmere Haven, and anybody who's done geography or geology at nowadays GCSE standards has probably seen lots of pictures of Cuckmere Haven in their textbooks. It's a classical meandering river. And when I was doing geology, it even had some oxbow lakes on it. I'll have to have a look on the map really and see whether they still exist. But yeah, this is a famous kind of geographical landmark in the south of England in itself, which it's nice that it feeds into the Seven Sisters. So the foreshore's down below me now. I'm going to drop down there. Tide looks like it's reasonably out, so I should have a little grub around and see what I can find. Don't want to get too close to the cliffs because there are rock falls all the time, and the general rules for fossil hunting is you don't take anything out of the cliff. You look at the boulders that have fallen down and been washed over by the sea, and that often reveals the edges of fossils and things coming out of them. I haven't got any gear with me, no hammer or anything like that today, so I'm going to purely be looking at stuff that's been washed out. Once down onto the foreshore here, you can see that the section of cliffs behind me has kind of got top half that's an orangey colour, and that's washed down and made the chalk below it a kind of dirty brown colour as opposed to the pure white of the Seven Sisters. And I think, but I'm not sure if my 40-year-old geology is correct, that the brown layer, or the orangey brown layer at the top, is the remnants of glaciation. There was no glaciers at this level, we're too far south, but this would have been a tundra area in the Ice Age. But the orangey brown stuff was material that was washed out down away from the glaciers and settles on the land and is being deposited effectively at the top of the cliffs here. But I can't swear to that, it's too long ago since I did my geology. You can see here the foreshore's littered with chalk boulders that have come out of the cliffs, and it's around these that I'm going to be looking to see if I can find anything. The chalk boulders have lots of bits of fossil in them, like this here, which looks like the top part of a shell of a bivalve or something. It's a matter of finding stuff that's not broken and just weathered away. So that there looks like a bit of coral or something by the look of it. I'm going to see if I can get that out using my little Gerber dime multi-tool. Well, you can tell by the big grin on my face, it wasn't super successful, but I just turned round to head back to the steps, and on the way back I found this little beauty. It's called an echinoid, but it's a sea urchin at the end of the day, that's what you'd know it as, and they often are actually washed out of the chalk as they're preserved as flint. But yeah, so I'm like over the moon with that. That's a brilliant result for me for today. So yeah, now I am going to call it a day because my luck's not going to get any better. And yeah, head back to Seaford. So there's Seaford back in view there. So I'm going to descend back to there, and I'm sure I spotted like a beach hut selling bacon sandwiches and stuff. So that sounds good to me at the moment. I'm starving. So I'll see you when I get down to the bottom. So that bacon sandwich was very welcome, a nice hot coffee as well. Yeah, it's quite an enjoyable morning really. The walk from Seaford to Cuckmere and back probably only occupies about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. And the view was very nice of the Seven Sisters, so that was really good. And yeah, I was well chuffed with the fossil hunting side of it. although chalk is considered one of the most highly fossiliferous rocks around, I'm usually distinctly unsuccessful when I try and do any fossil hunting in chalk. So yeah, the little sponge was the first thing, or sponge or coral, I'm not sure, was the first thing that I found. I managed to dig that out with my little Gerber multi-tool, and that was more or less it, apart from a few bits of shell and stuff that I wasn't very impressed with. So just as I was giving up, I just looked down at my feet and I saw this amazing echinoid that I'm well pleased with, because it's quite nice and big and it's not too weathered yet, so you can see all the kind of little pock marks and holes in it where the spikes would have come out from and stuff. So yeah, a couple of remnants of animals that lived like 90 million years ago, so that's always very interesting. So yeah, quite a nice and successful day all round really. So yeah, on that note, I bid you cheerio and I'll see you next time. Take care.